For decades, India, for centuries in fact, India has been a friend of Afghanistan. And Afghanistan as a country has seen so much violence over the last few decades. And yet again, after 20 years of relative peace and a birth of a solid democratic movement in the country and elections, there is a return of the Taliban, which is capturing a lot of areas on the ground. Afghanistan needs the help of the world now, with the United States having moved away from Afghanistan after 20 years, and the international community moving away as well. Thousands have lost their lives. The question is it just a matter of time before the Taliban take over Kabul? Hopefully that will never be the case. Joining us now, a very special guest, His Excellency Farid Mahmoodzaei. He is the Afghan Ambassador to New Delhi. Sir, my first question to you, there are now reports which are coming in with visuals, in fact, of the Taliban having killed, and sadly a large number of Afghanistan's special forces who had apparently surrendered. Can you share knowledge or information on this?
Yes, this happened in the province of Faryab last month, where 22 of our special forces were brutally murdered by Taliban at a time when they were surrendering. They had either surrendered or about to surrender, violating all human values and violating all norms and laws of the war and conflict. Sadly, we lost those 22 brave men in a very cruel and brutal manner. We lost people who were about to get married next month, or the end of this month, rather than at that time next month. Very professional, trained forces of our armed forces. The most elite branch of our armed forces is formed by our special forces, and they were murdered in cold blood by Taliban in a very cruel and brutal manner.
Ambassador, what is the ground situation today?
The ground situation sadly is very dire. It's very problematic. We are having active fight going on in around 150 districts out of 376 districts. So 1/3 of the country is in active fight. Taliban, after the withdrawal of international forces, which largely started on the 14th of April all the way until today, which would complete by the end of next month, Taliban exploited this opportunity, which they should have given to peace. They inflicted heavy losses of both lives and infrastructure on the Afghan public, on the Afghan people across the country. Our security forces are doing everything they can to ensure the safety and security of the public, but we took the attacks as surprise in various parts of the countries,
right?
In various parts of the country. So some of the attacks came as a surprise. We were under the assumption that Taliban would take the peace process seriously, and they would negotiate a lasting and dignified peace with the Afghan government. Yet, and on contrary, they chose the path of the violence, and they chose to destroy key infrastructure which had taken us years and billions of dollars to build. So the situation on ground is not very good. It's grim. We had more than 200,000 people displaced internally since April 2021, since the past 2.5, 3 months. Closer to 4,000 people have been killed. They had lost their precious lives, and most of it because of the atrocities committed by Taliban and their associates.
Right. Sir, in a situation like this, how is India helping? Now, we've had very close equations, even military equations, in terms of training, the transfer of helicopters. What is India doing now?
One way of helping us was with the soft infrastructure that we needed the most, and that was to educate a lot of our young people, a lot of our civil servants, provide vocational and technical trainings to many of our government employees in various sectors. That was one help that India had generously provided. We received 1,000 scholarships a year, and there are closer to 20,000 Afghan students across India today. India built us the new Afghan parliament, the Friendship or Salma Dam, Shahtood Dam, and several other infrastructure projects. In the military side, India has also again helped us with two key components. One was to help us with providing us military training scholarships for our cadets, and second was to help us with military hardware.
Right.
India has so far provided us 11 helicopters. Now, as we go into the future, we count on India is a very close and credible and reliable partner. We seek again to support initiatives to support areas from India. One is to help us with the peace process, utilizing its conveying power in the region and internationally to put more pressure on Taliban to come to the negotiating table. And second, should we not get to a stage in the peace process with the Taliban, then there may be a time when we would be seeking India's military assistance, more military assistance in the years ahead.
So,
a fact to be remembered that we are not fighting a civil war here. We are fighting global terrorism and extremism.
are you looking for Indian troops on the ground? Are you looking, or are you looking at Indian pilots flying your helicopters? Because a lot of your pilots in the Afghan Air Force have been attacked. They've been killed in the recent past.
First, we are not seeking India's assistance with sending troops to Afghanistan. Their footprint in Afghanistan to fight our war would not be needed at this stage. We can do the fight ourselves. Secondly, Air Force is an area which require a lot of assistance from countries like India. We have a young but a very dynamic Air Force. It is being developed at the same time while we fought many battles. We would be seeking India's help with training our pilots, but not having Indian pilots in Afghanistan to do our fight. I think the Afghan pilots are capable enough. Yes, we had sadly the losses, we had witnessed the losses of several of our pilots in the recent months, but as we lose some of the pilots, some of the planes, helicopters, we train more, and we have more pilots currently on trainings. So the training process is being taken care of well, and we procure more military hardware, more helicopters. We have recently received helicopters from the United States. We will be receiving more helicopters in the months ahead, and there may come a time when we would require more air support, and India is naturally a place where we would be exploring such opportunities to acquire more air support.
All right. Well, Ambassador, very difficult times for your country, and hopefully that peace process will result in something positive, and hopefully the bloodshed we are seeing on the ground will cease.